I remember the exact moment I knew something had shifted, though I didn't yet understand the depth of it. She didn't say a word. She just looked at me across the breakfast table, her eyes unusually still, the laughter I had loved so much gone like smoke. The fork in her hand trembled slightly, but it wasn't nervousness. It was detachment. "I can't do this anymore," she said, as if she were reading from a script she practiced for months. I blinked, staring at the woman I had promised my life to, the woman who had once kissed me awake on rainy mornings, and I felt the ground drop beneath me. I don't understand. I managed, my voice rough, betraying the panic I felt. "I just don't want you like I used to," she said calmly, almost clinical in her delivery. "I need something else, something different." The words hit me like a cold gust. My stomach twisted, my chest tightened, and for a moment I wondered if I was having a heart attack or my world had simply been ripped from beneath me. I wanted to scream, to beg, to fight, but I couldn't. She had made up her mind. For weeks afterward, I replayed every conversation, every argument, every subtle tension I had ignored. Did I miss the signs? The night she stayed late at the office, the sudden obsession with her appearance, the way she laughed at her phone while pretending to text a co-worker. I wanted to hate myself, but somewhere deep inside, I also hated her for leaving, for treating me like a placeholder until she found someone more exciting. And then came the call. It was late, the kind of evening where the world feels hollow, when streetlights flicker against wet asphalt. My phone rang, and the name flashing on the screen made my stomach clench. It was her. My first instinct was not to answer, to let the pride and hurt dictate my actions, but curiosity, maybe even desperation, won. "Hello," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "It's me," she said, the same voice I had loved and feared at once. It was softer now, tinged with something I couldn't quite place. I need help." I froze. Her need had always been a weapon. She had used it to draw me close, to hold me captive emotionally. I wanted to tell her to leave me alone, to rot in whatever mess she had created. But a fragment of the old me, the man who had loved blindly, whispered, "Maybe she's changed." "What do you need?" I asked cautiously. "Money," she said bluntly, and the casual cruelty of it made my blood boil. She didn't apologize, she didn't explain, just a word, thrown at me like a gauntlet. I hung up without a word and stared at the phone as if it might burn a hole through my palm. My mind raced through memories. Late nights I'd driven home just to find her door locked. Texts she deleted before I could read them. Unexplained absences that she always dismissed with a shrug and a smile. Every small deception suddenly became a jagged scar across my heart. I didn't answer her second call, or the third, but then one evening she appeared at my door. She looked tired, her hair loose and messy, her designer coat a shade too large. There was a vulnerability in her that hadn't existed before, a subtle desperation that made my pulse spike. "I didn't know who else to call," she said, her voice quivering. I messed up. I need your help." I stepped aside, silent, watching her. My mind waged a war between anger and instinctive compassion. "Come in," I said finally, my tone cold but steady. Inside, she fumbled through her bag, pulling out a stack of bills and papers, laying them on the table. The room smelled faintly of her perfume, the one I had always hated but secretly recognized as hers. She avoided my gaze, focusing on the mess in front of her, and for a moment I wondered if she was genuinely remorseful or just calculating. I thought I could handle things on my own," she murmured. "But I can't. I've burned through everything, and I don't know where else to turn." I watched her, feeling the old ache in my chest tighten, then twist into something darker. My hands itched to shake her, to demand the truth I had been sensing for months but had lacked proof of. Instead, I asked quietly, deliberately, "Did someone else help you before you called me?" Her head snapped up. For a second, there was panic, a flicker of fear she couldn't hide. "I know. I mean, yes, but—" She hesitated, searching my face for mercy I had already decided she didn't deserve. The confession came out in fits and starts. A co-worker, someone she had met in my absence, someone she had flirted with, laughed with, spent hours texting. I listened, my stomach churning, my pulse hammering in my ears. Each word was a nail, sealing the coffin of the life I thought we had shared. You betrayed me, I said finally, my voice low, tight. You left me because you didn't want me, and now you expect me to bail you out? Tears welled in her eyes, but they were not enough to erase the betrayal. She began, but I cut her off. No, don't. I trusted you. I gave you everything. And you destroyed it for what? Excitement? Money? Someone else's attention? She looked down, ashamed, finally fully realizing that no explanation could undo the damage. The room felt smaller, heavier, as if it were collapsing inward with the weight of our shared past. I walked to the window, staring out at the city lights, reflecting on the wet streets. The anger inside me simmered alongside a sorrow so sharp it almost hurt to breathe. I thought of the nights I had stayed awake, waiting for her to come home, the mornings I had watched her sleep, thinking she loved me. All of it had been a lie. I won't give you anything, I said finally, turning to face her. Not now. Not ever. You made your choices. Live with them. She didn't argue. She just nodded, a silent acknowledgement of defeat, and for the first time, she seemed small, really small, in front of me. The woman who had left without a second thought now appeared fragile, human, but the fragility could not erase the betrayal. I helped her gather her things, my hand steady, my voice quiet. When she walked out the door, there was no lingering glance, no plea for forgiveness, just a soft click of the lock behind her. Alone, I sank into the couch, feeling the empty space where trust had once lived. The room was silent except for the hum of the heater and the faint echoes of the life I had thought we shared. And yet, in that silence, I felt a strange clarity. Betrayal had burned to my illusions, but it also left behind a truth I couldn't ignore. I was free. I wouldn't call her. I wouldn't answer if she tried again. The door was closed, not just physically, but emotionally. I realized that sometimes love ends not with a bang, but with a quiet understanding that some people are incapable of what you hope for them. Some people are never truly yours, no matter how much you give. And as the night stretched on, I felt the first stirrings of something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not the naive, untested peace of hope, but the hard-earned peace of survival. I had been broken, yes, but I had also been freed. She had left me because she didn't want me. She had called when her money ran out, hoping I would bail her out. But I had chosen differently. I had chosen myself. And in that choice, in that quiet, defiant act, I found the only thing worth keeping, my dignity, my clarity, and the knowledge that betrayal could not define me.